Hello everyone, it's Leo and it's time to talk about episode 8 from OTONA PreCure, Power of Hope PreCure, Full Bloom, so many names. I am even wearing green to celebrate Komachi's arrival or rebirth as Cure Mint, even though I was kind of disappointed in Cure Mint in this episode. Girl, what did they do? But the episode itself was very interesting. It did not give us answers, but it's building up to give us a very good story. At least that's what it seems. And we even had a little sparkle of Cure White in the form of her grandmother, Yukishiro Sanae. What is going on here? Anyways, let's talk about it. We have a character that is very interesting that is called, I think, Yamaguchi-san. Yamaguchi is that type of lady that smokes like 10 cigarettes a day and she knows everything about everybody. She is that type of lady that takes care of the life of every neighbor in town. And she was gorgeous. And we start the episode with her dialogue with Komachi and then also a little kid. And it's interesting that she brings up lots of very interesting points. The first one is that Komachi wrote an article in the town newspaper that the article is through the point of view of a stray cat. How cool is this? This just goes to show Komachi's artistry is there, engraved in her. And then she talks about the fact that Komachi's a pro writer to the kid and so on. And Komachi, starts wondering about that herself. And then we see how the town is important to Komachi and how townspeople are important to her. And then she goes to check out in one of them, and that person has collapsed because of the shadow. I mean, we think it's because of the shadows. Komachi thinks it's because of the shadows. The lady, Yamaguchi-san, thinks it's because the person has collapsed of overwork, which is, in her words, a modern event. And so, this is so telling on society in general, how people are getting sick because of the overload of work more than ever. Very nice that they sprinkle those little commentaries that are very important, little by little. I really like it. And then they start investigating. And we have the addition of Nozomi and Koko together with Komachi in this episode. And while I did like the fact we had Nozomi around, I feel like Koko was just an extra for the most part. I think if it was just Komachi, it would have been better. She really deserved a little bit more time for her. And while I do think she was kind of like the lead of it all, it came in detriment of her during the fighting scene later. So they discover that Sanae can talk to them because of Yamaguchi. That lady knows everything. Is she actually Belle? She is not. But, they go to Sanae's house. It's a house we already know very well. I got a little emotional when I saw the front yard of the house. I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. And this is one of the things that OTONA is really shining. I feel like it's just a big present for us older fans. There are so many little details that we can see and that we can appreciate. They're doing this with so much care. I love it. And then they start talking to Sanae, and Sanae starts talking about the origin of the city. It's a little different, I think, from the Futariwa days, because in Futariwa, Sanae talks about her past. And she talks about a tree that she planted and the people planted. And that tree ends up being an important place for Nagisa and Honoka in Futariwa PreCure. This time around, she talks about the origin of the city. I absolutely love the fact that they're going for a telling of the gruesome times of war and bombing and the destruction and the despair and the desolation that people feel because of war. But this time around, they added something different from the Futariwa days, which is the tower. The tower that appeared in PreCure 5 and is now a central part of OTONA PreCure has been there since the bombing days and since when Sanae was a kid. She was a very young girl. And when the town, or when the place that the town exists now, was bombed, one of the only things that was left was the tower. And the bell was ringing. The bell was like bam, bam, bam. And at that time, the bell served as a purpose for people. The bell served as something that lifted their spirits and made them keep on fighting and rebuilding that place. So it's something that helped people get through the grief, the sadness, and the pain that specific period brought them. And they started rebuilding everything. So it was like a community being born from that period of time that nowadays is the town that the action is happening. There are also some other details, like, for example, the flowers that Komachi takes care of every single day are flowers that were born after the bombing, because the flowers, they started being planted by the people that were taking care of that town. And we can see even like little Sanae there looking at the flowers. Very cute. And Sanae was part of it. She witnessed it with her own eyes. She witnessed the birth of the town that we know nowadays. And she saw how strong things were back in the day, and why Belle is so important, because that tower had a bell that rang and helped people. And because of that, they started believing in a fairy called Belle. Girl, that was a little shocking to me. Like the origins of Belle, and she's not called a fairy. By Sanae, she is called an angel. Who said I was an angel? And she's called, her title is an angel. And when Nozomi met her for the first time, she called Belle a dark angel. So the same creature, the same being that used to lift people's spirits after a gruesome time at war, is now creating shadows and trying to destroy the city. What happened? Why did Belle change so much? And so after they talked to Sanae, they went back to the city and they went to investigate the Bell Tower. And there they found an image of Belle, which is probably how she looked before she turned into a dark angel. So we have a figure, we have an idea of what Belle was doing in the past, which was she was helping. She was serving as inspiration. She was serving as power for people to rebuild a city. And now she is doing everything in her power to make people destroy the city she helped build. Why is there this big change in her existence and in her motives and in what she is doing? Is it because people now are destructive and they don't care about the town as they did in the past? Or is there something else? By the time they arrived, the shadows appeared and Cure Dream, or Nozomi, became Cure Dream, and she started fighting. Nozomi, as Cure Dream, had some pretty interesting moments. She fought a lot in this episode, but seeing the destruction of town, Komachi got inspired to fight and protect the town that she loves so much, and she became Cure Mint again. I feel like out of all the transformations so far, hers was probably the weakest one in terms of motive. I can understand her motive by wanting to protect the city that she fights so much to protect every single day as Komachi. Now she's protecting the city from something different, but at the same time, I feel like the episode did not manage to convey that very nicely. It didn't feel as emotional as the other ones. Apart from Milky Rose's transformation, I feel like Milky Rose's transformation wasn't that big of a deal either, but the others felt a little bit more powerful and emotional to me. You know, hers felt kind of rushed. It felt so fast, and she became Cure Mint. And that's basically it. She became Cure Mint, and that's what she did. She didn't do much in the fight. And the fight was all in Nozomi's hand, or in Cure Dream's hand. And that is so unnerving. Why did Cure Dream need to be there? She didn't need to be there. This should have been a Cure Mint moment only, a Komachi moment only, because she could have shined as much as she did shine as Komachi, but as Cure Mint this time, because she did not. To me, she did not. She did nothing. And then when I saw Komachi using Shooting Star, I was like, okay, oh my God, Cure Mint isn't going to do anything because she barely fought. Like she only, the shadows went all up in her and she was able to push them away. That's what she did. And then when the shadows started attacking like the town around, I was like, okay, she is probably going to use a shield. She's probably going to block those attacks or something. She didn't. It was Cure Dream who stopped that attack. And obviously there were more shadows so that Cure Mint could use Mint Saucer. And that was that. Very disappointing. I like the idea of her protecting the town as Komachi and her protecting the town as Mint. But girl, why? That was very disappointing. Very disappointing. I'm still a little pissed over that. But I feel like the rest of the episode made up for this. And at the end, we see, after they became adults again, we see the Time Flower actively doing something that we don't really know what it is, but that affected Nozomi, and Nozomi ended up fainting. When I saw that scene, I thought, oh my God, Coco is going to let her fall to the ground. But he didn't. He was able to pick her up. But that was something, I feel like the animation in this episode was kind of slow, if that makes any sense. I'm not someone who understands much about animation, but it felt a little slow, in certain moments. It just felt weird. Like I was sure that Nozomi was going to fall. Coco got her, but the scene just felt slow, just like the episode as a whole. The episode didn't need many wow animation moments, so doesn't really mean much. But that happened. And so something weird is happening with the Time Flower. We already knew that the Time Flowers were dangerous, but we don't know how or why. We don't actually know what's really going on. Nuts is studying it, and now Coco is even more worried about the fact that Nozomi is a cure, because that seems to actively be hurting Nozomi and probably the other girls too. Nozomi is probably hurt now first because she was the first one to transform. She's been Cure Dream the longest. And I'm very curious for the origins of the power. I'm also very curious for the origins and the reasonings of Belle, the angel that is now a fallen angel. Oh my God, Lucifer. Anyways, next week is Splash Star time. Saki and Mai are coming back. This is Saki's episode, and now we're probably going to have the girls back as Splash Star, Cure Bloom, and Cure Egret. I cannot wait. This episode was a little sad because we did not have Dark Knight Light. Where are you, Kaoru and Michiru? I hope they appear next week. Oh my God. Anyways, this is my view on episode 8 from OTONA PreCure. Please leave yours in the comment box below. Let's keep talking about it. Anyways, babies, this is it for now. I want to take this little time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you very much for your support. And if you've watched up until now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.